Hey there. For some reason, Park University Zoom does not tell me that the meeting is being recorded. So if the videos have started a little oddly, that's why. So here's the second video, which I decided to just go ahead and make today on either side of our lunch period, my wife and my lunch period. So this video is dedicated to looking up sources using the library, specifically scholarly sources for your research reports. Part of the annotating of the sources in your proposal is to get you to think about the credibility issue of sources. When you're just using the internet and using Google to hunt for sources, you're going to find sources of dubious credibility. And so part of your research process and the assessment of your sources is to think about whether you have a credible source, particularly if you're drawing factual information from a source. You may have to corroborate that with other sources, that the facts might not be accurate facts. Just because they're presented as facts doesn't mean they're particularly accurate. And this is never more true than right now. In the coronavirus pandemic. So if I'm using this video years later, hi, this is 2020, and we're in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, in which people are wildly interpreting statistics for their own purposes, and that a lot of material that's being presented out there in the wilderness of the internet is wildly inaccurate, to use the word widely twice in the same sentence. So here we go, some library searching. So first I want to share an article or a file, I should say. I don't know if it qualifies as an article that I've shared in files it's called Identifying Academic Journals, and it is an article to investigate for when you know you have an academic journal. What's the difference between an academic journal and another kind of source? And I'm going to show you how to find these via the library, because here it talks about using Google Scholar. And the problem with Google Scholar is that you often hit a paywall and you have to pay for an article. Whereas if you use the Park Library, they have already paid, and so you don't have to. And so this shows you, a variety of search mechanisms. But basically the answer to the question on what is a scholarly article is one that has been peer reviewed. Appears in a scholarly journal, an academic journal that has been peer reviewed, which means that a group of scholarly peers have gotten together and said, yes, this is a reasonable article and it can be published. To show you this, the link to use the library is in any classroom. And so this is the Zoom page. I gotta get out of here. So here's our classroom. Dial back to the home page. Give it a second because it's running Zoom. It's doing a lot of things. So still loading. Okay, homepage, here we are. Of course, files is where you find samples and that Identifying Academic Journals file that I just shared with you. I don't have them posted right now, so that's kind of backwards to be able to show you, but they'll be writing 04 samples. There'll be 2 different folders. There'll also be the Identifying Academic Journals article, both separately and within one of the folders. And this is usually the week when I also post the full versions of the reports, because as you're working on a proposal, it might be the time when you're going to want to look at what a report looks like, and because the 2 main criteria for verifying that you have a good subject to proceed is that you can find the research, particularly the scholarly articles, and that you are going to be able to generate enough content, which is about 2,500 words just in the body, which is in between the introduction and the conclusion. So 2,500 words, which is about 5 single-space pages in the body of the of the of the report. Okay, so that's something I'll be talking about more in future weeks. I'm not really going to go over that and show you samples today. I want to just show you the library stuff. So over here on the left menu, there's the library and tutoring link. You click that, and we got to wait a few minutes for it to load because it's running all this Zoom audio and visual. So the computer's running a little bit slower. Give it a second. All right, and you get this nice page. And so I'm going to show you two different searches that I just performed to verify that we can find materials on particular subjects. Now, from this search box here, I could click full text and peer-reviewed articles right here, but I'm going to do that on the next page just to see, just to show you the process. So the first subject I tried is already ready for me since I just tried it, retention in the Air Force. So I just typed retention Air Force. I didn't even bother to capitalize Air Force because it doesn't matter for the search, and click the search. Sorry if some of that bothers you, Air Corps individuals, that I didn't capitalize Air Force. It certainly deserves to be capitalized, but I'm just, being expedient. So it's taken a while to run the search again because the internet and my computer are talking back and forth, but my computer's running a little more slowly because of all this audio-visual load that we're running and recording back into the cloud. So this brings up search results. You see it tells you types. I got a government document here at the top. I got a book. I got news. And of course, you could use all of these sources, but none of them are scholarly. None of these first three are scholarly. So I'm going to change some of the results over here. Now, one thing I can do is you see up here is I have 400,000 some sources right now. So I can just come over here and click academic journals. And that's going to update the search and reduce it to about 130,000 sources, which is still way too many for me to look through, even though it's going to front load more recent sources and sources that it feels are relevant. The search algorithms feel are relevant that I'm going to want to look at. But I can enforce the search parameters even more. I can come over here and check full text. And then I can check scholarly peer-reviewed journals so that I'm just getting, as opposed to just academic journals, I'm getting scholarly peer-reviewed academic journals. So I can enforce that search as well. And then, of course, I want more recent sources. Usually I tell students, within about 5 years. Some teachers in your studies will want you to have even more recent sources than that. But, and I just hit enter so it can apply those last two search parameters, because you notice it didn't reload after I clicked scholarly peer reviewed. So now I have academic journals that are full text, scholarly peer reviewed from 2015, 2020, related to retention in the Air Force. And you see lots to choose from, right? This first one is a suicide prevention program. And you can see a lot of keywords under here and subjects that you could use to do additional searches. Transformational leadership, suicide prevention, mental health services, and I could use those to do additional searches. And I'll show you how to pair together keywords here in a minute. Like here, I liked this one, right? So factors affecting behavioral health provider turnover in U.S. primary care behavioral health services. So that looks like a good one, and I like it. Actually, I like this one even better. This was, I think, the one that I looked at. Aligning Air Force leadership roles, the limitation of enlisted empowerment. So partly what you should do is you should do some of this research as you're refining and focusing your subject, because perhaps maybe I want to go into some of these mental health issues. So I want to do retention related to mental health. And the research is going to help me to figure out, the kinds of things that I might want to use with my focus, like based on the research that's out there. So you know, you can scroll through these results. Here's sexual assault. But I like this one, the leadership roles, enlisted empowerment. So I'm going to click on that. And that's from the Air and Space Power Journal. And so it's going to show me the main page for that resource. And over here, I can access the full text PDF, which I recommend that you do, and grab the PDFs. You can email it to yourself. You can print it. You can add it to a Google Drive. You can put it in a folder that lives here in the library, and then dump them all at the same time when you're done with your research. You can do a lot of different things. You can save it. I'm not exactly sure where that goes. Maybe it saves it to your computer. Not sure. But one thing that you want to make sure you use, and of course you can always ask the librarians for some guidance on all of these. I don't know absolutely everything about the interface, but definitely click on the site link, and then scroll down here. Here's the APA-N reference. It's pretty accurate. You know, you might want to check it against developing your own APA reference, because both these and ones you can generate in Citation Machine or BibMe or some Easy Bib or some of those generators are flawed, and it's usually human error that the data has been put in inaccurately. This one looks correct. You know, so I could just copy this and put it in my proposal and on my reference page in my report. Also, there's this abstract right here. This is a summary of the article. Now, some of them that you'll find be more sentences than this. This is not enough sentences for what you put in your annotated bibliography in the proposal. But I strongly caution you to not copy this word for word and paste it into your proposal. But if you want to use it as a starting point for writing your own summary, just make sure you significantly rewrite it so the instances of words together are no longer true, because any plagiarism checker checks for instances of consecutive words that are the same. And so if you're essentially still quoting and you haven't fully rewritten it in your own words so that there are too many consecutive words the same, you've committed plagiarism. So be careful about that. All right, so that's the basics. And this is a scholarly article, you know, because we click those parameters and we have a peer-reviewed article here. So it's great, right? And it's recent, summer 2018. But let's try a little more complicated search, you know. So I'm gonna go to new search. And then I'm gonna, if it doesn't bring me to an advanced search page, I'm gonna click advanced search to enter more parameters. It doesn't seem to want to give me that page, so I might have to do this in 2 steps. So oh wait, what's it do? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I usually sway students away from this topic, but I'm going to try effective business communication, because after all, it is it is our subject. But I'm going to pair it with crisis, because we're in the or even crisis communication. You notice that came up in the in the settings. You know, we're right now in the middle of a pandemic, and my wife is having, you know, terrible experiences at her workplace with how her superiors are communicating. And just watching the news, I see a wide variety of communication styles from different government officials, both on the federal level and the state level, in terms of how they're communicating this time of crisis. And so I've been thinking a lot about this issue. Now I can limit some of the results right from here. I can click full text of scholarly journals, and I can limit the years. And because of 9/11, I want to limit the years from the year 2000, which is just before 9/11, through this year, and click search and see what I get. You know, often I sway students away from effective business communication because they're just complaining about the communication styles within their own company. And I don't always find that the problems that they're expressing are legitimate enough to carry a research report. Um, uh, but if you can find the research and you have a good enough problem, then perhaps you could proceed with a communication related subject. I still think it's tricky because the idea of communication is broad and sort of abstract. And though it's the subject of our course, I think it's difficult to get a targeted report out of it. But I keep an open mind. You might be able to come up with something. Just looking at these results, there's some interesting things here. And I might explore further. You got multicultural environments, their challenges of crisis communication. That might be a good starter place. That's a good pairing of ideas. It's the Journal of Business Communication that from 2013. That's pretty good. So I might, try that and try a variety of different search parameters. Like this next one focuses on the global financial crisis from 2008, 2009. This is our first really worldwide major pandemic. I mean, we've had smaller incidents. So, if I was really interested in that, I could enforce it. I could, see if there's anything written so far. I kind of doubt it. But I could add a search term. But especially in scholarly journals, I'd be really surprised if there's anything yet written about this because it's so new. But, with the digital world, you never know. Yes, they only have 2. So, but still, I got 2. I got recent publications too, both from March of 2020. Related to public health emergency communications because of the outbreak in China. So that's interesting. And I got 2 scholarly journals. So I just wanted to give you a foundation of searching, things to think about. And use of the library. I strongly encourage you to find the majority of your sources using our library rather than the internet. The internet, of course, is super convenient, but the library isn't that difficult to use. And you're guaranteed that the sources are going to be credible. Whereas with the internet, you could come across some things of very dubious credibility. And so you want to be careful for that. You certainly will want more sources found via the library in the final research report than on the internet. For the proposal, you should have at least 1 scholarly source, and you're supposed to have 3 minimum sources in the proposal, for week 4. So that's what I got for you. I hope this wasn't a super long video, but they all tend to take up a fair amount of time to be able to teach you adequately. So I hope you enjoyed these videos. I'm going to put them together in one announcement. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.